I think, unfortunately, most entrepreneurs, they try to short circuit the process.
Mm-hmm.
That they don't understand that they have, like you said, all these building blocks down below.
Right.
Before they can actually sit down and say, okay, now, why is this a good investment opportunity?
Yeah.
And I think we need to sort of pull them back a little bit and say, look, spend the time, doing the things that are in your book, talking about, what are the fundamentals of the business, like you said, what's the market, and
do the homework.
Right.
Do the homework and do the prep work. The fundraising process, in my experience, and I've never run Google or Facebook or any of these companies, and maybe it was different for those guys, but it is a gut-wrenching, arduous process that you don't know if you're going to be successful at it or not. No matter how well your company is executing, no matter how good it is, and there's so much skepticism out there, and just then it's a numbers game. Like any sales, it's a numbers game. If you've got a venture capital firm that's, let's say it's a $200 million fund,
mm-hmm.
and they've got to make investments over successive rounds. If they're a Series A investor, in order to maintain their investment, they need to keep some dry powder for Series B, Series
Exactly.
C investments. So maybe they have 3 partners or 4 partners, and each of those partners is going to do what? Maybe 4 deals a year?
Yeah.
And they're going to see probably...
$200 million fund, it might be less per year.
Yeah.
Maybe 2. Yeah.
2 deals,
Yeah.
So 2 deals on the low end, maybe 3 to 4 on the high end, and that's a big fund. And if they're bigger, if they're a mega fund like $1 billion fund, they're going to have more partners.
Right, exactly.
So and they're looking at so many deals, and maybe they actually are interested in your company, but the timing's not right, or they believe the business idea is good, but not the team, or that, hey, I've already made an investment in this space, so I'm not going to make an investment in this space.
Right.
So even if you can't take it personally and think that, oh my gosh, I've had 30 meetings and I haven't closed the deal yet. I mean,
Right.
this is hard work, and
I agree, and the process. So, we've been talking a lot about, what do you have to do to sort of get ready to write your executive summary?
Yeah.
How do you make sure it's the right one? How do you practice the pitch?
Sure.
And all that's really important.
Yeah.
One thing we haven't talked about, which I think you're touching on, is once you've done all that and you've got everything nailed, you've got your pitch down.
Yeah.
There's the process you need to go through to actually find the investor.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky enough to work with a lot of folks who assist companies in fundraising.
Yeah.
I've been involved in a lot of helping companies get introduced to VCs.
Yeah.
And I've personally developed a process that I've used that at least I found effective.
Yeah.
And what it results in is basically what you're describing. You work very carefully with, whether it's us or whether it's an outside professional, to come up with a list of the appropriate investors.
Right.
The ones who actually invest in that space, who still have dry powder in their fund.
Yeah.
You put that list together. Then you identify, who do we know, right?
Yeah, warm
Because
contacts.
You want to have a warm contact. Just sending in the pitch deck over the transom, so to speak, is very unlikely you're going to get anybody to read it or
Right.
get feedback on it. So you identify who are the lists of all of these folks, who do we know, who do we know that knows them.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, then of course the next thing you do is you then just blast out an exec summary to all 100 of them at once, right?
Mm.
I'm smiling, right? Of course not. But that's what every investor does who's not properly advised, right?
Yeah.
They'll do that. They go, okay, great. There's 100, boom, they send
Yeah.
out to 100 people. No, you never do that.
Yeah.
As we talked about.
I mean, that may not even be, you would know more than I do. Is that a general solicitation?
Well, technically, you can argue, I believe it's not, because you've
Okay.
identified to a specific person, although
Yeah.
we can get very technical about how you emailed it and how
Right.
you found these people,
Right.
and it could get borderline.
Yeah.
But in general, it's probably not. But it just as a matter of whether it's going to be effective, it's so wrong,
Yeah.
right? So I've tried to educate folks and say, look, it's not an event. It's going to be a process. It's
Right.
going to take time.
Yeah.
So we want to identify max 10. I prefer 5 for the first go.
Yeah.
And these are going to be funds that know the space,
Yeah.
that neither know me or know you really well, so
Yeah.
they're going to pay attention, they're going to give us good feedback, we're going to send them our materials, and the likelihood of any of those first 5 or 10 investing is close to 0.
Yeah.
But that's not why we're sending it to them. We're sending it to them because we're going to learn a ton about all the things that is, despite all of our best efforts and all of our great homework and all the efforts we put in, we've missed something, right?
Yeah.
We've missed some gap in the market. We've missed some gap in the competition.
Sure.
We've missed some gap in, the revenue streams, and how there's something we've missed. And so we're going to learn a lot, and then we're going to iterate. And probably do that at least 2 or 3 times, which is why I like to do 5. You do 5, you iterate, you do 5 others, you iterate. And maybe within those first 10 or 15, maybe there's 1 or 2 who say, after you've made these few changes, come back and see me.
Sure.
Maybe. Sometimes you don't even get that.
Yeah.
But then you really are done, 10 to 15 in, you've now got something you think, okay, this is pretty darn good. I feel more comfortable. And now, I'm still not going to send it to 100, but now we can start maybe going out to a broader audience and seeing if we can start getting some real interest in the company.